the front lines have been more or less frozen, with heavy fighting taking place in Bakhmut, in Avdiivka, but there the Russian advances have been in a few kilometers, nothing as significant as what Ukraine was able to do last year. It's also worth remembering that in recent months the US has been training the Ukrainian army in combined arms operations in Germany. So this is exactly the type of warfare that is needed for large-scale operations. So with this knowledge, with all the extra equipment, because really they have received a lot when it comes to infantry fighting vehicles, armored personnel carriers, tanks, and also other types of vehicles which you might not hear that much about, but which are critical for counteroffensives, namely mine-clearing vehicles and these special bridge-laying vehicles that look like some alien craft, but once they extend that bridge, it can often stretch for a good 40-50 meters or so, making it possible to cross even quite large water obstacles. So Ukraine has received the equipment that is necessary. Now they have also received a couple of extra MiG-29 fighter jets, and more will be coming in the coming weeks and months. So the Russians know that the Ukrainians are preparing something. The question is just exactly where will they strike, and here the intelligence that the Ukrainians are receiving from the West, mainly from the US, but the Poles, they also have their own planes up patrolling the border with both Belarus and Ukraine. So they definitely also have some knowledge about where the Russian troops are stationed. They might have a military intelligence that come from various spies and other sources that they would like to share with the Ukrainians. So wherever this counteroffensive will come, it will certainly come after a lot of consultations with their allies in the West. And it is quite probable that Zelensky is in Poland to speak about some of these topics with President Duda. But also, as I mentioned previously, to really voice his and in extension the Ukrainian people's gratefulness for what Poland has done. We discussed in previous episodes about why Poland is this adamant about Ukraine not just not losing the war, but actually winning it. And by winning it, as a definition, as in pushing Russia out of all territories that were held by Ukraine, not just before February 24th, 2022, but since that they held before February 2014, when Russia illegally annexed the Crimean Peninsula. So for this to happen, or rather not for this to happen, but the Poles, they believe that this is crucial for a number of reasons. One of them is just pure geopolitics and Poland's own national security interest. If the war is allowed to become one of these frozen conflicts that Russia has previously been prone to initially start and then freeze, such as, for example, the Transnistria region in Moldova since the war in 1992 that has remained in that state, or the war in Georgia, initially also back in the early 90s with the breakaway republics of South Ossetia and Abkhazia, which it is like a festering wound that never really goes away, and the Russians, they have this opportunity to use what they call in strategy for an escalation ladder. So at any moment of their choosing, they can ramp up the rhetoric and then also initiate some types of acts to put pressure on these other countries, whether it's Moldova, whether it's Georgia. And also Belarus has, even though there hasn't been any breakaway republic or any war or so, But since Alexander Lukashenko came to power in 1995, he has been taking Belarus more and more in an eastern direction towards Moscow.
Adam, as usual, the clock has defeated us, so I'm going to have to ask you to pause there, but we will pick it up next time. There we are. I've had to interrupt Adam almost in mid-sentence, but fear not, if you join us next time on Poland Daily History, as we hope you will, we'll pick up the story. Until then, thank you for watching.